And right now it's time for that time when we talk to our special guest. Tonight our special guest is well-known yachting commentator Larry Keating. Can it get any more exciting? 4-2. One more sleep and we'll find out if Team New Zealand is in the finals for the America's Cup. Larry Keating, welcome to The Beat Goes On. What an exciting time.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here, Jared.
America's Cup. Ooh.
Isn't it an exciting time? Yes.
Larry, can you believe it? It's 4-2. 4-2. One more sleep and tomorrow morning, that'll be Tuesday morning, we will find out whether Team New Zealand is in the America's Cup final. Wow, couldn't be more exciting. But Larry, you've been in the America's Cup now, well, all your life, haven't you? When did it get into your bones, this yachting?
Well, as a young guy, I learned to sail as a fairly young fellow. And when I first came to Auckland from Wellington back in the late 60s, what impressed me most about sailing in this part of the world was New Zealand's initial victory in the one-ton cup when Chris Brezade won the one-ton cup.
Wasn't that a great period? Yeah. That got you excited.
That got me going on it all. And then I was listening to the 1983 America's Cup when Australia too won the cup, took the cup away from the New York Yacht Club after 132 years.
Yeah.
And, within a few months, New Zealand was effectively in the next event.
Yeah, we were.
Much to New Zealand's surprise, by the way, because the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron had been approached by a Belgian character, a guy by the name of Marcel Faschler, who was living in Australia. And he decided he'd put a challenge in for New Zealand.
Wow.
And I guess he had his own commercial reasons for that.
Yeah.
And so the story goes on, and eventually, of course, Michael Fay gets involved.
Yeah.
And 1987 comes about, and
KZ7.
KZ7.
Yeah, so how old are you? Let's look at your baby boomer status here. Larry, what year did you enter this wonderful world?
I'm a 49er.
A 1949er.
I'm a
That makes you
1949er. I am a baby boomer, yes, I
about
guess.
68, around about that.
Correct. Yeah.
Where's the time gone now, Larry?
I don't know. Where did it go?
If you can find out where
I
it's
don't know
gone,
where it's
we'll go
gone.
and get
I'd
it
like
back.
to get a lot of it back, by the way. I'd be happy to start it all over again.
So you're a classic baby boomer. A classic baby boomer.
Yeah, I am. And I've seen every America's Cup since 1987.
As a yachting commentator.
As a commentator and as a writer and a photojournalist, but principally as a commentator.
Now, you've been working away at it. Is it top secret, or can we reveal it on the program today that this wonderful book is coming out very soon about the lead up? What years will it cover? And I will give the title because it's a fabulous title for this new book.
Beneath the Sheets
Beneath
in
the
the America's
Sheets,
Cup,
yeah.
yeah. Well, it's the dark side of the cup. It's
The
what
dark
most
side.
people don't see about the organisation and how the billionaires and millionaires misbehave amongst themselves.
Now, there's a lot of gossip and a lot of rumour and a lot of hearsay. So how do you sort that out?
There's so much of it.
Yeah.
It's a mission, believe me.
Yes.
But it's been something that I've wanted to do for some time. Back in 1987, in fact, I started to write the book, Beneath the Sheets.
Yeah.
And more recently, I made a television series, a 5-part TV series on the dirty tricks of the America's Cup. And from that, I teamed up with Alan Sefton.
Well known in New Zealand yachting.
Yeah, written many books. And so Alan and I are working on the book right now. And it should be out around about Christmas.
Well,
That's
now,
the plan.
What were the parameters? What did you say? You couldn't cover the whole amount, so you zeroed in on what area for Beneath the Sheets?
Well, we really touch on the history, on the original history from 1851, really right through to 1983. So the book's principally about the modern era of the America's Cup, all the antics and carry-on that's been going on since 1983, and there's plenty of it, and it's still coming.
Yeah. Now, there once was that wonderful mystique about it. It was a rich man's sport. It was in Rhode Island, and the New York Yacht Club had this little cozy club, and they didn't want any outsiders coming in and spoiling their little game, did they? And they did everything. They threw everything at every challenger, didn't they? And it was really
Well, they were
dirty
really,
tricks, wasn't it?
absolutely. I mean, they were jealous guardians of that trophy, and they had it there for 132 years.
Wow. That's amazing, isn't it?
For sure. And they
And those upstart Australians, eh? Those upstart Australians.
they finally beat down the door of the New York Yacht Club,
Yeah.
and they managed to pull the wool over their eyes. And that's one of the stories in the book,
Yeah.
how the Australians won the cup, because it's not quite as clear as the Australians would like us all to believe. So
Mr.
that's a
Bob.
little mystery in the book itself. So yeah, and of course that opened the door once the cup was out and went to Perth.
Now, the New York Yacht Club is an extremely wealthy group of men, aren't they? They still are today, and yet they've never. They seem to have given up on getting it back, haven't they?
Well, I think
what's your take on that?
Well, I'm a member of the New York Yacht Club.
Really?
Yes, I think the club was initially established in 1844, and it was of extremely wealthy men, and there are no doubt very wealthy men still members of the club. But the club is far broader than that now.
Yeah, it's
Once they'd lost the cup in 1983, they needed a new project, and they found a club up, or a house actually, in Newport, Rhode Island. It was called the Brown House. It is now called Harbour Court. And it was right on the water, because New York City, where the yacht club, the principal yacht club is in West 44th Street, and you're right in the heart of the city. So they needed something for the youth, and they needed a place for themselves to be able to enjoy on the water. And so they bought this house, developed it into the yacht club, and it's a wonderful place. So that was their project. So once they'd lost the cup, it was like, well, it's gone, we need something else to do.
That seems strange. There's not some sort of driving force to get it back.
Oh, they did try, believe me. I mean,
Dennis Conner gave it a good go, didn't he?
Yeah, they went back in 1987. They were in Perth, but basically that was it.
What would your fees be to join the New York Yacht Club? What's the yearly fees? Are you allowed to divulge that, or is that a top secret?
If I divulged that, my wife would probably pull the plug on all the other benefits I get.
What are the benefits of being in the New York Yacht Club?
Oh, actually, there are wonderful benefits about being in the New York Yacht Club. The camaraderie and the friends from all over the world. We've sailed through the Mediterranean for the last 10 years, and wherever we went as a member of the yacht club, we basically entered into any other yacht club in the world.
So it pays off, paying that.
It's like an entry fee, yeah.
Like an entry fee.
But yeah, it's there's a certain amount of prestige involved in it.
But do you hear men standing around, and women, of course, now they're really in there? Have you kept your ear to the ground and heard plans that we're going to get back into this America's Cup? Is any hint at that?
No.
No. Wow.
No, but I wouldn't. It depends, I think, as time goes on, and it depends what happens with the future of the America's Cup.
Because look, if little old New Zealand with 4.5 million people can put together a very good challenge for the America's Cup, the New York Yacht Club, they could do that standing on their heads, couldn't they?
They could.
Yes. So that just, I'm
Well,
absolutely flabbergasted that they're not in there still fighting for it.
I think as some of the younger folk that are coming through that are maybe more interested in this catamaran story, which is this seems to be where the America's Cup is going, that maybe they will pick it up again. I don't think they've completely written it off. I mean, they still are the guardians of the deed of gift.
Yes, exactly.
So there's still an interest there. But whether they're going to challenge again in the near future, I think this America's Cup might tell us something about the future for New York Yacht Club and the America's Cup.
Now, why is Larry Ellison in the America's Cup? What's the payoff for him?
Well, Larry Ellison's one of these, he's the 5th richest man in the world.
Yeah. So it's pocket money for him?
Well, I think that...
150 million could be pocket money for him, couldn't it?
I don't think it's coming right out of his pocket anymore. But yeah, I think that it's just one of those mountains he wanted to climb. And the America's Cup was the pinnacle of yachting. He's very big in tennis, like he's getting Indian Wells, a lot of publicity now. It's becoming one of the great tennis venues of the world. He wanted the America's Cup like anybody that was keen to sail, and he was determined to get it, and he did.
Now, Larry, if suddenly a relation appeared and he left you $200 million, would you put it in the bank or would you challenge for the America's Cup?
I'd put it in the bank. I'd put it in the bank. There's no way I'd challenge for the America's Cup.
Why is that?
If I had $2 billion, I wouldn't do it.
Even $2 billion?
No. I remember Ted Turner saying that in 1977, when he won the Cup on Courageous, that was the end of it for him. He said, it was just too stressful, too hard on his family. And I think that a number of the challengers in the past or defenders in the past have come away with the same feeling, like, they got beaten up big time. They spent a lot of money and there's a lot of stress. And
now, Larry, we haven't got a lot of time, but what's the typical day now for Larry Keating? At the age of 68, you spend half your time in New Zealand and the other half overseas. Is that how life has turned out now?
Well, for 10 years, my wife and I cruised the summers of the north around the Mediterranean in our boat.
Oh, well, you know every Greek village and town on the Mediterranean, do you?
We know most of the Croatian villages,
okay.
Many of the Greeks. But yeah, we've slowed down a little bit. We're now living in the Bay of Islands. But I still feel like a 21-year-old, quite frankly. I want to get back out there and keep it rocking. I don't want to give up yet.
Any plans for New Zealand? Have you got anything you're developing here in New Zealand?
Yes, we're doing Debbie and I are going to run a series of tours over the coming years to share the experiences that we had sailing around the Mediterranean.
In the Mediterranean.
So we're going to take a small group of people, only 12
people.
And we're leaving here on the 27th of August for New York. We've got the New York Yacht Club have opened the doors to the inner sanctum of the New York Yacht Club for the first time ever. They've allowed the public to come in. They're allowing us to take a tour. So what we're going
12 people. Yeah.
So we're going to do is trace the origins of the America's Cup, and we'll go to Newport, Rhode Island. We'll see where the racing was there between 1930 and 1983. We will see the deed of gift at the America's Cup. We'll be taken on a voyage of discovery through the history of the Cup by John Ruminier, who's the historian. We then go into the United Kingdom, to the Royal Yacht Squadron, where it all started on the Isle of Wight.
What a wonderful trip.
And then we're going sailing. We're going to take these people sailing around the Croatian
Is this on your
islands.
own boat, or you will hire this boat?
No, we've got we're going to take 4 yachts, and we're chartering 4 yachts in Croatia.
Yeah.
Sailing around all of the islands that we'd enjoyed.
Everywhere you've been to, you've experienced.
All the people that
we've known.
You know
where all the good cafes are and all these little...
We know all the good cafes and bars and exactly
and
all the nightclubs and accommodation.
Oh, you'd sleep on the boat, would you?
Well, we're going out for a week.
Yeah.
So they'll be sleeping on the boat. So we'll be doing
4 boats. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. Korčula, Miet.
Are we allowed to ask the price for that, or is it if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it? Is it one of those?
No, it's around about 25 grand a head to do it. But it's pretty exclusive. It's all we're travelling, premium economy, 5-star hotels, the very best of boats, and a very special tour, 28 days.
Now, if somebody's watching this and they say that's for me, how would they get hold of you, Larry?
021 429 008. Of course, yes. Love to have them on board.
Excellent. That would be the dream, wouldn't it? If you love yachting and you've loved the America's Cup, this would be just fabulous.
Yeah, well, you're going to get a real taste of the history and meet some of the great raconteurs, Bob Fisher, John Ruminier. And we'll be able to share our own stories about our own experiences, and we've had some fantastic times in the Med.
Hey, Larry, wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you.
And in 5 days' time, the America's Cup starts, and both you and I will be watching.
The whole world will be watching.
Thanks, Larry.
Great. Thank you.